This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650 in Vancouver. My name's Tyler Green. Follow the show on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 or myself, Tyler Green FC. Still to come in the first half hour the first half of Soccer Talk. It is brought to you by bcsoccer.net. We'll hear from Vancouver Whitecaps head coach Carl Robinson. Well, he spoke to the media after Vancouver's 2-1 win versus Houston, plus a full wrap report of the match. Paul Mullen, executive director of BC Soccer, will join the program at 10:45 this evening. But right now, let's start with that starting 11. And Simon Fudge joining me. Simon Fudge 74 on Twitter. Simon, number one on the starting 11 after 9 years with no title. Should Arsenal keep Arsene Wenger, or should they make a move to change it up?
For at least one more season, Arsene Wenger, I think, should stay. He's got a young squad here that I think he should be given a chance to see and develop here if they have the ability to be a contender in England and Europe. He must add pieces to this team. There's no question. He's got to do some business in the offseason to make it a stronger side, but I think he needs to be given that chance for at least one more season.
You know what? I think he needs to stay, especially with what's happening with Manchester United and Moyes right now. It makes no sense to get rid of a manager that has literally kept you in the top four for so many years in Champions League, in contention for the title. Yeah, they haven't necessarily won one in a while. Like I said, it's been 9 years, but you're not guaranteed that the next manager is going to take you to that next level. He's been able to make this team money, and I think they definitely have to keep him around at least for a few more years.
Number two, can Liverpool claim the English Premier League title?
Now, I know that they can win it. All they have to do really is win outright the rest of their games. But call me a pessimist because I just think that somehow Liverpool are going to blow it and they're going to screw up a match somehow and they're going to get surpassed and they're just not going to claim the title. Call me a pessimist, but I figure that's what's going to happen.
I think they can win it. Looking at what happened today with Chelsea losing and Manchester City drawing, if they can go and beat Spurs tomorrow and more than anything, take maximum points from much of the remaining 7 league games that they have left, I think they have every chance of claiming the title. So I feel very confident with them right now, actually.
Number three, with talk of a player revolt at Manchester United, does David Moyes even have a chance to stay and make things right next year?
I feel time may be running out for David Moyes at United. You know, when you start hearing that he might be losing the dressing room, anytime a manager or head coach faces that situation, he's usually got a relationship that's broken. It can never be put back together. If United back him, the club, as I'm thinking, then it's a question of allowing him to survive this turbulent period and build a squad at Old Trafford that's more in his mold, because that's basically what he's got to be given the chance to do. He basically took on a squad here that he inherited, and it has very much turned into a very difficult experience for him.
So I'll ask you again, though, Simon. Does he stay?
Does he stay? I think he does. But if he does, I think he only gets one more season.
You know what? I think he's going to be gone. If he somehow manages to win Champions League, he'll stay, but it's not going to happen. Too much pressure. People keep referring to Sir Alex Ferguson's record when he started. But let's face it, Moyes isn't Ferguson. Fergie won 11 different trophies with Aberdeen before he even joined United. Moyes has won 2, a Community Shield and a Football League second division title. He's done, I think, at the end of the season.
Number 4 is the, quote, wrong one, Moyes out, unquote, banner that was seen in an airplane over Trafford during Saturday's United match classless.
It's not really, I don't think it's classless. Every fan has the right to protest in whichever way they want. They chose to do it this way. Other fans choose to not go to a game at all. Not classless at all.
No, I saw it the same way. To me, it's a strong, opinionated statement made by a segment of disgruntled United fans. They may deserve it, the right or not, to make their opinions felt, but supporters are always going to have their opinions about their club, especially in a place like England.
Number 5 on the starting 11 with Wayne Rooney, Danny Welbeck, and Daniel Sturridge in the lineup. Can England light up Brazil in the World Cup?
Don't see it happening. England are in a very difficult Group D with Italy and Uruguay. I see those two teams moving on from that. As much as you've got three talented players that you've spoken of, not enough quality for me to make it through. There's more I see in Italy and Uruguay, and particularly with Uruguay effectively being home, playing in South America. I think it's going to. I don't see England doing very much at all.
You know what? I think they can. I think that Sturridge is killing it this season. Rooney is always dangerous, always a weapon. Welbeck, has had a pretty good season so far this year. I think they can definitely score, create some big numbers for Brazil. For me, to your point, England going far, another question entirely. But I think that Sturridge, Rooney, and Welbeck can actually do some fun things in Brazil.
Number 6, after winning the title again in Scotland, should Celtic make a play to join up with English FA structure and not play in Scotland anymore?
Well, whether it could happen is another question, but I think they should try. It would make it more interesting, I think, for them and their fans, because quite frankly, winning the league at this point every single year is kind of dull. I think it would also make the Scottish Premier League more interesting, because now all of a sudden you have a bunch of teams that are actually on the same level competing with one another, and they actually have a chance to win the title. So I think they should give it a shot. Whether it'll happen or not is, another question entirely, but why not try to make it work?
It's a waste of time and energy to try. Celtic and Rangers went down this road before, trying to find a way to get in the English Premier League. It never happened. I don't see UEFA or FIFA allowing it to happen, because it would set a dangerous precedent. Bigger clubs and smaller European leagues would then have the idea of maybe joining a much bigger neighboring league, and I don't think the governing bodies would allow for that.
Number 7, with the knee injury to Victor Valdez in Barcelona, does this open the door for Atletico Madrid to win the Spanish title?
It probably only adds just a little bit more intrigue to the Spanish title race. I wouldn't necessarily say, no, it opens the door for Atletico to win the league. It really comes down to which one of Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, or Barcelona is going to be the most consistent side in this home stretch to win the La Liga title.
No, Valdez, one piece. Atletico can win it if they put in consistent efforts. One player's not going to make a difference. Barca can outscore their problems, whoever is in net, if they have that ability. So I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference.
Number 8, who is the most entertaining or exciting Whitecaps player to watch so far?
For me, Kekuta Mane as a substitute. Every time he gets the ball on his feet, he's exciting. He's running at defenders. We saw that in the match against Houston today. He makes something happen, whether he's going to shoot, whether he's going to try to take on a player one-on-one. He's fun to watch, and for me, that gets you off your butt and hope to see something happen. I think a lot of people are going to say Pedro Morales. He does some nice things. He makes you say, wow, that was an incredible pass. But Mane, for me, really gets you excited and really makes you stand up and take notice.
For me, Pedro Morales is the player that is really exciting me. From what I've seen so far this season, you get the sense something will always happen when the ball is at the Chilean's feet. And there were many dazzled reactions today to some of the searching balls that he played from the crowd, which really kind of stood out for me in the win against Houston. And I just think as time goes on, we're going to see more exciting things come from him this year.
Number 9 on the starting 11, what, if anything, is YP Lee's legacy here in Vancouver?
For me, it was a consistency of high quality from YP Lee. He came to Vancouver with one of the best resumes in the game. He played at some of the biggest clubs in Europe, had a storied career with South Korea, its national team. And even though he was in the latter stage of his career, he showed tireless energy in the way that he played, and I also think a textbook way to play as an outside fullback.
And you can weigh in on this question at SoccerTalk650 on Twitter. You can also call us 604-280-0654. You can also email us soccertalk650 at gmail.com. For me, there's nothing really in that legacy. He's a player that was cool to see. He had that pedigree, that resume, but he's not a he didn't make the Whitecaps overly better. He didn't help them win any major trophy, and he brought some Korean fans to the stadium, but they've seemingly disappeared. So that legacy hasn't stayed either. He was a good player, but he didn't take it to that next level. He wasn't that player that made people say, wow, take notice, and really draw in a lot of people. And we'll hear from YP Lee a little bit later on in the program tonight. But for me, just not that great of a legacy. He was only here for 2 years as well.
Number 10, did the Whitecaps do enough to honor YP Lee today?
I don't think they did. They could have done more. He wasn't wearing a Whitecaps jacket. He was sort of standing off to the side. The whole thing seemed a little bit odd. You look at what the BC Lions do when they honor players. You look at what the Canucks do when they honor players. They make it a big deal. They really pump it up, make this atmosphere. And for me, the Whitecaps could have done a lot better in honoring the moment. Fell very short of the mark for me.
It was a strange tribute, I thought, as well. I mean, for me to actually be there was in the middle of the national anthems and find that he was actually standing next to the Boy Scout troop who brought out the flags was kind of an odd one. I would have thought maybe he should have been given the chance to stand beside the starting 11. And as you say, in a Whitecaps kit, for what they were looking to try and do in honor of her. So for me, it was a very, very strange strange tribute in the end.
And finally, number 11 on the starting 11, Real Salt Lake's Nat Borchers told ESPN 700 earlier in the week, I think Michael Bradley is a very similar player to Kyle Beckerman, except I think Kyle is a better player. Is he right?
No, he's not. And if there's going to be any definitive answer, it's when Jurgen Klinsmann decides to use Michael Bradley or pick him over Kyle Beckerman in his starting 11 at the World Cup in Brazil this year. You're talking about a player in Michael Bradley that has been able to prove it in Europe. He's played at Roma. He's been able to show that he can go to the next level with his game. Kyle Beckerman is a very good player, but he's a career MLSer. Puts him at a very high standard, but not being able to see him play at that next level somewhere in Europe doesn't give me the feeling that he's of the same stature.
Yeah, but you could also argue that Bradley came back because he couldn't cut it in Europe, and that's why he came back. But for me, I like Beckerman. I would like to see him in games. I've seen Beckerman dominate a game. Yeah, Bradley is likely going to get the starting call from Klinsmann, but I'd take Beckerman. I'd also take Beckerman and that idiotic hair that he has over Michael Bradley. That does it for tonight's starting 11. We'll get into more discussion on some of these topics in the second half of the program, including some comments from some of the Whitecaps players a little bit later on. Right now, Kia Vancouver has throwback pricing on all new Kias with prices like they were 15 years ago. Kia Vancouver, the power to surprise at KiaVancouver.com and on Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon. Whitecaps were 2-1 winners over Houston earlier tonight. After the break, Simon will give us the rest of the scores from around Major League Soccer, potentially some surprises, and we'll hear from head coach Carl Robinson and a few other players in just a minute. Right here, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650.